Next on the Broadway Show, Feed Me Seymour, we're chatting with the new star of Little Shop of Horrors, Darren Criss. Plus childhood dreams coming true. I'm catching up with Broadway's Princess Jasmine to talk about the role she was born to play. And the stars of the new Broadway musical, Water for Elephants. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is the Broadway Show. The Broadway Show is back with another good one. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Let's get started. Big stars in Little Shop of Horrors. Darren Criss and Evan Rachel Wood are on the New York City stage right now in Little Shop. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
That's right, Tamsen. The off-Broadway hit has become a showcase for top talents in the roles of Audrey and Seymour. I sat down with Darren Criss right here at the West Side Theater. Darren, welcome to Skid Row. We're at Mushnick's Flower Shop.
Mushnick and Sons. We are in the Little Shop of Horrors, and it's actually, if you didn't know the show, it's pretty beautiful for a shop of horrors, because as of now, it's not looking horrific at all. It's looking pretty nice.
There's Audrey too.
There's Audrey too. She's looking good.
Was it a goal and a dream to get to work with Audrey too?
I guess it was one that I didn't realize until I did it. I'll be honest, and this may be, people might take this the wrong way. I hope they don't, but I can't say I ever sat around going, oh, one day I'll play Seymour. I just never saw that, but the idea of being in Little Shop, at any capacity, is always appealing because it's such a great show. But I never was like, yes, one day I shall do Seymour like this.
We've seen you flirt with the music. I mean, you sang to Rachel Berry.
Yeah.
Suddenly Seymour, famously. You know, you're the king of piano bars and the king of Elsie Fest, which celebrates music like this.
So you can't avoid that song. You can't avoid something
Exactly.
Seymour.
Yeah, you performed it. How many times have you actually publicly performed that song before stepping into this?
Not enough. I love playing that song. Like, there's any of these songs that are famous because they're beloved, there's never a point where like I roll my eyes at it or go, oh God, I have to play this again. But in this show, suddenly Seymour suddenly has a narrative context. It's not you and me at a piano bar having a couple beers singing our favorite song. It comes from a real narrative place. So it's nice when you are doing the show in context, telling the story. It hits a little different. I've spent a lot of time talking about and thinking about Howard Ashman. As the kids say, he's like my Roman Empire. I spent a lot of time thinking about Howard Ashman. I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but anytime people ask me, dead or alive, who could you have dinner with? I always say Howard Ashman. And I pretend he's in the audience every night to, sort of as a barometer of what I think he would like or not like, and I don't know if I could actually know the answer is, but it's hard not to feel connected to him in some way every night.
I love that this production has offered so many actors and actresses that we love the opportunity to come and play these roles. And it's been sort of this great platform to see who's next. And it's always an exciting casting opportunity. The guys who have played Seymour, for me, there's a range of like nerdy to hunky.
I think we're all like kind of versions of each other. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. If you put into ChatGPT what might Darren Criss do with his career, this is like a very obvious thing. Like, this isn't, I pride myself on making like left of center decisions and doing stuff that might throw you off. This ain't one of them. Like, I fully objectively understand that my involvement in this is like, yeah, sure, that makes sense. However, for my money, doing this would not be nearly as exciting as it is, wouldn't be nearly as exciting if I didn't have Evan Rachel Wood with me. She's performed on stage as a singer in Los Angeles and in New York. She's done tons of workshops and stuff in New York where she was this close to coming to Broadway, and she never did. And so my sort of hope was like, well, this is such a great entry point. Honestly, I get my jollies seeing people see her in a way that I've known her to be forever. Listen, come for me, stay for Evan Rachel Wood.
Oh,
like, she's the chef's kiss. I'm just the amuse-bouche that you forget about by the end. She's amazing.
Water for Elephants brings a circus to Broadway this spring. It's based on the best-selling novel from 2006, and it actually features real circus performers.
I think honestly, it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. I think we've seen circus, I think we've seen great Broadway musicals, but we've never seen a circus musical where all of the circus elements are there to support the narrative. They're all character-driven, diegetic as it were. It's really, really beautiful the way the circus elements are both spectacular, but also grounded within the narrative story.
The things that happen on that stage are spectacular. At the same time, there is an emotional experience too that will happen for the audience, and I hope the combination of those two make the audience feel like I'm so glad I came, and I'm going to tell all my friends.
The collaboration between the different departments of circus and music and puppetry and lighting design, it all feels like the most collaborative production I've ever been a part of. Deep in my gut, I knew that this role was going to take me to the next level of my own artistry and the next level of my career. So it was like a no-brainer for me.
For me, I mean, I really, after being away for so long, knew I wanted to get on stage when I wrapped up Flash after 10 years of doing Flash.
You were on Flash?
After 10 years of playing one character on TV, I mean, I really wanted to get on stage again. And I was scared for it to be a musical, actually. Like, I kind of dreamed of it being a straight play because I was scared to sing again. And but we're singing, baby.
He's singing.
But we singing.
I think it's important often as an actor to do things that scare you, and admittedly this role scared me. He's a wonderful, very colorful, very driven, very front-footed. To be honest, I think the big draw for me was I thought it would be a challenge.
Quite literally jaw-dropping moments. They ask you emotionally and in terms of your imagination to do it all, which I know as an actor, that's the best thing I can hope to be a part of.
Disney's Aladdin celebrates a decade on Broadway this month, and Sonya Balsara plays Princess Jasmine.
All right, well, let's just jump in and talk about your long love affair with Princess Jasmine.
Oh, yeah. I love her. She's a part of me. And I think when you grow up, I'm a mixed race kid. I'm half Indian, half white. You look for role models as a kid, and she was always one of them. You know, she's so many things. You see yourself visually represented, but also she's tough and smart and courageous, and she goes after what she believes in despite what everyone says around her. So I think she's an awesome role model for kids, and I love to be able to do that in a reimagined Broadway version of that every day.
Does it still feel emotional to play the role each night?
Yeah, there's always moments, you know, I've done it like almost 500 times now. Crazy.
It's in perspective.
Yeah, but like, you know, I think that you relax into it after a while, and so there's moments that like surprise me. And I hear a phrase in a new way, or like I'm watching other people and noticing something for the first time in that moment. And I think that makes me emotional, totally. Every day, there's a little kid in that audience whose life has changed forever. You know, people are like, why do you think Aladdin's been so successful? And I think it's because we are so rooted in joy. Everyone is so happy by the end of the show, and that can be cathartic and healing, and there's so much not joy going on in the world. And so I think that it's a beautiful thing to return to that and to choose joy every day.
Aladdin is such a staple now on Broadway, which is pretty amazing. How does the cast feel, and how does that look celebrating that?
I think we feel really lucky because, I mean, you look at other Broadway shows and we're just so lucky to have lasted. 10 years is a huge milestone for Broadway. I mean, there aren't that many shows that hit 10 years. So then to be a part of that and to know that we have a future beyond this too, and it brings us together, and I think every day we just count our lucky stars for sure.
And what's remarkable is being in the show now as an adult, but you've played this role before, right? What's the difference between those two? I feel like there's a little difference.
I mean, production value might have been a little different.
Aside from that.
No, I actually, it was funny, a friend of mine who I hadn't talked to in years sent me clips from that production. I played Jasmine and Aladdin Jr. when I was 12. And it's funny because there's parts of it that I'm like, I actually recognize myself in that little kid with braces. And we obviously didn't have like a real flying carpet and all that stuff. But yeah, it's like, it's the same heart, and like the little kid in me I bring on stage with me every day too.
It's time to take a walk with a Broadway star, so let's go ahead and send it out to Charlie Cooper.
All right, Jonathan, we are walking to work.
Yes, you are. We're walking to Spamalot on Broadway. No big deal, just Spamalot on Broadway.
Yes, I love that. And you do this walk, what, 8 times a week?
6 times a week.
6 times a week.
Usually, hey, big fans, thank you. Usually during the days where we have 2 shows, I stay at the theater because I'm just too tired to leave.
I think of the song Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. I feel like when you're walking through a city like New York, that's chaotic.
Yeah.
You've got to kind of have that in the back of your mind.
I mean, you definitely have it in the back of your mind when you leave Spamalot, because we do a giant sing-along at the end and everyone gets to sing the song and there's confetti. So like,
Yes.
you will leave Spamalot singing Always Look on the Bright Side of Life for the rest of your week.
You've stepped into this show,
Yeah.
making your Broadway debut.
It's
This
my
is a
Broadway
Tony-
debut, ladies and gentlemen.
Crazy. This Tony Award-winning show.
Yeah.
What's it like to step into the role as Sir Robin?
I mean, it's fun because, it's scary. At first it was like, I'm gonna do what? And then, but the cast and the creatives on the show have been so wonderful and made it so comfortable for me, and it made me feel so safe. I will say there are shows on Broadway that are just as good as Spamalot, but I don't think there are any shows right now that are as special as Spamalot, and that is because there's something about the show that you can't explain. Like, Alex Brightman gets to do a monologue every night of whatever he wants. So no matter how many times you've seen Spamalot, it's different every single time you see it. The other night, Alex decided that his monologue, because he's a genius, was going to be quoting the Caltine bars scene from Mean Girls.
I love
So
that.
I'm on stage with Alex Brightman quoting Mean Girls to me in front of the Broadway audience, and then James Monroe turns and goes, "I've never seen the movie, sorry." And everyone went nuts.
You deserve this.
Oh,
We're
thank
here.
you. We're here at Spamalot.
We're here at Spamalot.
Spamalot, New York City,
Absolutely.
Broadway.
So we'll let you go in and do your thing.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so busy. I have to go to Broadway. Come on. Oh wait, let's look at my name. There it is, Jonathan Bennett. Jonathan Bennett. Next to Alex Brightman. Are you kidding me? Let's get out of here. And I have found my grail.
This is a Broadway Show, and we're back in just a few. It takes a whole lot of people to keep a Broadway show running, that's for sure. From the actors on stage to the orchestra and the people behind the scenes, whose names you don't see in the playbill. Our man Perry is on the town.
Be it Tony winner Hugh Jackman or a Broadway newcomer, vocal coach Liz Caplan can get anyone ready for the stage or screen. I met up with Liz in her incredible New York City studio. All right, so we are here with Liz Caplan in her studio. I feel like the goosebumps just even being in here looking at all the walls. You've become the go-to for just about everything, from Broadway to Hollywood. But how did that start? Where did you start? What was the first project?
I basically began as a person who was a singer, musician, who played piano. I started playing piano gigs, and people came to see me and hear me sing and say, "How are you doing with your voice, what you're doing? I'm really curious as to how you're doing it." And it was kind of like how to have your voice be seamlessly moving through sort of a spoken sound, not necessarily chest, but into a middle strong voice, into an upper register that all felt like one piece. So that kind of became my sort of signature teaching technique. And little by little, one person at a time, back in the day, grew into a full practice. And I started working with a lot of people who were in Broadway shows as time went on. And then they would tell their friends in Broadway shows. And it really just kind of mushroomed. I taught a young man named Benj Pasek when he was at University of Michigan. And then Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, with whom I also collaborate, worked on Dear Evan Hansen and brought me on to work with Ben Platt. And then they worked on The Greatest Showman, so that became my relationship with Hugh Jackman. And you could see that I think when you put yourself out there and you're just doing good work with each individual, people are going to talk about it to their other friends and colleagues, and things just kind of bloomed from there.
What did the day-to-day look like for Liz Caplan?
I'll give you a smattering of certain days of the week. There are certain days where I'm fully just teaching people all day long. And there are days like I'll give you an example. Last Friday, my day began with a Zoom team meeting of the entire creative team of Cabaret in the UK. because I am working with Cara Delevingne since last summer. And then from there, I literally ran into a car service uptown to go to a reading of, let's just say, a not to be disclosed quite yet, with a very well-known pop R&B artist who wrote a score for a show that one of my students is starring in.
Now, Liz, I know you have all your secrets, but are there any projects coming up you can kind of share and tell us about that you're very excited about?
Well, the one that I absolutely can speak about, I feel so honored. I get to work with Shayna Taub on Sucks, and she sought me out, and she wrote the music and the lyrics and pretty much is the caterer as well of the entire production. She has fully gotten this beautiful story together on her own and basically is going to be the lead performer in it. So she reached out to me to say, help me get through 8 shows a week. So we've been working in tandem to get her prepared, and that starts previews in March.
This Black History Month, we're highlighting some of Broadway's most influential Black artists. Tony Award-winning director Kenny Leon will soon be premiering his 15th Broadway show. But it all started in 2004 when he made his Broadway directorial debut for the revival of Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. In 2014, he brought the play to Broadway again, this time winning the Tony for Best Direction. Before he was a Broadway legend, Leon was making history as the first Black artistic director of the Alliance Theater Company. He then founded his own theater company, True Colors, which gives voice to the Black experience by centering Black stories and playwrights. And his efforts have paved the way for countless Black artists to come. Leon's acclaimed run of Pearly Victorious just ended, but you can catch his incredible directing in Sam Art Williams' Home, premiering this May. Thanks for sticking around. I'm Tamsen Fadal. I'm flying. The new national touring production of Peter Pan just hit the road. The musical, directed by Lonnie Price and featuring a book by playwright Larissa Fasthorse. Next stop, Baltimore's Hippodrome Theater. We got to know the stars.
To be Peter Pan, it's really quite an honor. It's such a magical story, and I think, especially for young people, it's such a story of youth and hope and family and love. And I'm really only like a few years older than a lot of our target audience, and I think that's something that really excites me. It's a really cool show that I really love.
I think it's a huge responsibility and exciting opportunity to get to do. I feel like as Indigenous youth, there's this like dissonance of these characters that we all really do love in a certain way, but we also do, it's like it's both. It's like there's harm and then there's also that love of feeling represented but feeling misrepresented. And so it's like now getting to use that nostalgia of this character that, you know, many kids and many Native kids really did want to see themselves in, to now to get to do that right is really exciting. And, you know, I've had a lot of people be like, wow, that's like a huge responsibility. You know, I want to do right by the community, and I want to do right by Larissa Fasthorse and right by Tiger Lily and portray her in a way that will make young Native kids in the audience feel seen. And that's an exciting responsibility for sure.
I really never saw myself in a role like this before. Like, I've been typecast in specific roles before. So when I got into that audition room and they were like, girl, go sing for Wendy. I was like, okay. And yeah, it's just, I feel really honored and blessed, and like you said, a big responsibility. And someone that I knew from college reached out to me and they were like, I'm so grateful and so happy that you're doing this, because like, I always wanted to play Wendy. I always wanted to see Wendy as someone who wasn't a little white girl. And I was like crying. Like I was like, yeah, like that's very relatable.
And it's so exciting because this show is gonna be the first show that so many kids see. Mm-hmm. And that's the best thing, I think. It'll just make some kids' day, and that's one of the things I'm most excited for.
She's forever in blue jeans. Amber Ardolino plays Marcia Murphy in A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond musical. And Amber's doing a vlog for us over at Broadway.com. It's called The Denim Diaries. Check out the full episodes over at Broadway.com. That's going to do it for us, but for tickets or if you want to check out extended cuts of all these interviews, you can head on over to Broadway.com. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.